Looks like we'll be good to go at 9 o'clock. As soon as we see the clock click to 9, we'll get started. Couldn't start early, could we?
We could. As long as you get the okay from the guy behind the glass.
The guy behind the curtain.
Right.
Finally got some cold weather here.
That's nice.
Enjoying it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Get serious here. So did you come in through the garage or through the library gallery? Or if you go back through the library entrance, and there's an art exhibit going on, or daughter's got some of her work up there on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I came from.
God, there's this little group of women at this little like studio where they do. Okay, all right, here we go. Great, 9 o'clock. Let's get started. Good morning, welcome everyone. Downtown Action Committee hearing, November 12, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with a roll call, please.
Veronica Barducci,
Present.
Dr. Brian Laura,
Present.
Kim Doe,
Present.
Roger Jansen,
Present.
Nick Mielich,
Present.
Samuel Grace.
Present.
Let the record reflect that Gregory Gabriel, Brian Chagas, and Michael Baxter are not present.
Great, thank you. Item 2, minutes. You had September 10, 2025 minutes in your packet. Does anyone have any questions, comments, corrections, deletions, or a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved from September. Item 3, we'll go to the report from City Urban Designer. Claudia, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Claudia Baben, City Urban Designer. I just would like to update you on the work that Ciscovish is doing with the DMP update. They had a work session with commissioners and mayor on October 20th. That went well. They gave good feedback and also gave them direction of continue to do the work that you're doing. We also had a meeting on November 6th last week with the Northwest neighborhood just to gather a little bit of feedback there. And the next meeting, which will be a public hearing, is also scheduled for December 9th at 5 p.m. here in Flagler Gallery. That's where they're actually going to come up and show some of the recommendations that are bringing forward. After that, we hit the holidays, and there's a little bit of delays because of that, but we are thinking that in early spring, we will bring this to DAC for approval and to the other boards and also City Commission too.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving down the agenda, let's see if there's any ex parte communication by anyone on the board for any of today's cases. All right. Seeing none, we'll note that on the record. We'll move into public hearing. So today's cases, if anyone that's here will be speaking, kindly stand and be sworn in, or if you're providing any testimony or commentary on any of today's cases.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Perfect. And then when you do speak, if you are speaking, just kindly state your name at the podium and name and address, and we can get all that on the record. Perfect. We'll move into the first case today.
Mr. Chair, I have a conflict on that first case. I'm going to recuse myself and excuse myself to the back chambers.
Perfect. Got it. All right. Case number 24-04, request by Kayla McKenzie of Urban Design Studio on behalf of the West Palm Beach CRA for variance request related to that project. So, hear from the applicant.
Good morning. My name is Rob Dinsmore. I'm with Urban Design Studio, here on behalf of the owner and the applicant, City of West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, for the 800 North Tamarind Avenue project. I am joined today by members of the consultant design team. If you should have any questions or additional information is required at the end of the presentation, let us know. We would be happy to provide that for you. So we have several requests associated with the project as a whole. We do have a formal level 2 site plan review going through PPRC. We did have to go for a certification of appropriateness through the Historic Preservation Board. That is completed. That's been approved as of August 26th of this year. And the action before this committee today is actually review and approval of 4 variance requests associated with this project. What I'd like to do, kind of walk through a little bit of background about the project, let you all be a little bit more familiar so you are familiar with the requests that are being brought before you. Try to be as efficient as possible, and again, the design team is here if any additional questions are out there. The project site is located at the northeast corner of 800 North Tamarind and 7th Street. That jumped quick. It is a 0.13 acre parcel in the downtown master plan with the land use of UCBD and zoned in the Northwest Neighborhood District, more specifically in WD5. The parcel itself is currently vacant. It is currently abutted on the east and the west by vacant parcels, on the north by a single-story professional office building, and on the south by a 2-story building utilized by the City of West Palm Beach Police Athletic League. All of these parcels are also zoned in WD5. So the project, as I mentioned, is within the Northwest Neighborhood District, and based on Section 24-128 of the zoning code, states that the intent of this district is to preserve its historical character, and that's by providing appropriately scaled infill housing, enhancing that Tamarind Avenue corridor, improving neighborhood connectivity, promote pedestrian activity, kind of enhance that streetscape feel, and maintain a low to medium scale and character, and enhance or be consistent with that historical architectural character of the area. This project delivers on that by providing a 2-story mixed-use project appropriately scaled for the area. It adds that additional residential units in the form of 6 studio-style micro-dwelling units, as well as 2,200 square feet of first-floor office and 3 tuck-under parking spaces on the north side of the building, which are screened from visibility from the right-of-ways. This is the site plan and ground floor plan of the building. As you can see, we do have, as I mentioned, those 3 tuck-under parking spaces accessed from that north alley. There is no additional curb cuts along Tamarind or 7th Avenue. The tan portion of that building is the finished office portion and back-of-house aspect of the building itself. You can see that the streetscape is being enhanced through additional landscaping. We're also providing site furnishings in the form of bike racks, and this plan is oriented north to the plan right. In the southwest corner of the building, there are 4 bike racks, and again, along that frontage on 7th, we've got additional site furnishings in the form of a bench, trash receptacle. And so that really lends to activating that street frontage. This is the 2nd floor plan of the building, which reflects those 6 studio-style micro-dwelling units. The next 2 diagrams are reflecting the FAR calculations and active use liner for the building itself. The tan portion is what's calculated in the FAR. The Northwest Neighborhood District 5 allows for an FAR for a project site like this of 2.75. The project as currently proposed only proposes an FAR of 1. So again, that's part of scaling this appropriately with the neighborhood and being consistent with that residential character. The FAR, or the active use liner requirements, will come into play a little bit with one of our variance requests, and I'll go over that in greater detail. So as I mentioned, this project did have to go to the Historic Preservation Board and get reviewed in compliance with that architectural vernacular consistent with the neighborhood. There were several contributing adjacent commercial buildings that were utilized when evaluating the architectural style. Those are reflected here on this building, and again, that review was approved August 26th of this year. So this, as you can see, the building utilizes a chamfered corner at that corner of Tamarind and 7th, has architectural banding to the north, a prominent parapet, balconies, and covered awnings to kind of enhance and be consistent with that architectural style. Has stucco finish, again being consistent with that architectural consistency of the area. The streetscape, bringing the building up to the build to lines as close as possible, providing the site furnishings and landscape in the form of foundation planning around that building really activates that area and is consistent with that intent of the neighborhood district. This is an additional view of the building from the north. You can see in this angle that tuck under parking that's accessed from that 15-foot alley on the north side, this two-way traffic connecting Tamarind and Douglas. Do you guys lose your visibility of this? All right, we're back. You guys can see that, right? So we'll kind of quickly walk through the building elevations again, reflecting those architectural elements that are consistent with that historical style. One thing to note on this frontage, which is the west face that faces Tamarind, you can see that central stair tower in the middle. That in itself is recessed into that architectural, and one of the benefits that this offers is that it breaks up that long building facade again to be more consistent with the scale and appropriateness of this neighborhood district. This is the eastern elevation. This is internal to our property rather than along one of the right-of-way frontages. One of the things that we're utilizing in this, while a landscape buffer is not technically required on that side, we are utilizing that 5-foot setback on that face to add additional landscape material to kind of soften not only the building facade, but that transition to our neighbor property. This is the southern facade facing 7th Street. As you can see in this, that chamfered corner with the architectural enhancement on that corner, along with the site furnishings, and the frontage of that office space on the first floor really activates this pedestrian condition. This is the northern building elevation facing the alley. Again, you can see that tuck under parking that is accessible from that alley to the north. As part of the Historical Preservation Board presentation, we did create enhanced, expanded elevations along the right-of-way frontages, and one of the things that this was intended to do was to show that consistency not only in the scale of the project, but the architectural style to that community, really driving home that we are consistent with the intent of the neighborhood district and the way the project is being designed. These are a slide referencing more detailed architectural elements. I'm not going to go into these in great detail, but if you have further questions about this, the architect is here to review that. Again, this was reviewed and approved through the Preservation Board. So that brings us to the request that's before you today for your action, which is review of 4 variance requests that are being proposed associated with this plan of development. A lot of these are really being driven by the physical constraints that we run into with the site itself. The site's not very large. It's only 125 feet in length along Tamarind and 45 feet in width along 7th. And so that 45-foot width really reduces our ability to deliver on some certain things. Our first request has to do with the street tree requirement within the downtown master plan. The downtown master plan requires that trees are provided every 30 linear feet along the curb line. And we met with staff multiple times to review a capital improvements project that they already have designed and approved for Tamarind Avenue. And most specifically, we were focused on that intersection of Tamarind and 7th. We had to ensure that what we were designing was consistent with what they had approved in their plan to construct. And so we had to get consistent with lane alignments, new curb line alignments, sidewalks that are being proposed, and underground utilities. And what that did was actually reduce our ability to provide street trees in front of our property. And so we created kind of a 5-foot foundation planting area within our required setback right along our frontage, and we had to push our trees into that area. Unfortunately, with that, we were met with some physical constraints. We got the building face itself. We had our balconies and awnings that were part of our historic preservation, consistent architectural style. And we also have an existing overhead power line along Tamarind that, depending on the timing of the construction of both of these projects, we have to consider when we are proposing landscape material to be consistent with Florida Power and Light's right tree, right place requirements. And so, working with the city's landscape reviewer, it was determined that palm trees were the most appropriate selection to be provided along the streetscape. And while we have 7 trees provided along that frontage, based on the city's requirement that 3 trees count as one canopy tree. We are technically only providing 2 street trees along that frontage. To make up for that, we are also proposing, like I mentioned, that landscape buffer within that setback on the east side of the building. We've got 6 trees provided on that side. So in total, the project site actually provides more trees than are required by code, even though we are asking for this reduction for the street tree requirement. The next 2 next 2 variance requests really have to do with the physical constraint of the site along with the requirements for the architectural design review with the HPB. Because the site is so narrow, we had to design the parking to be accessed from this alley. We're not creating any new curb cuts. We didn't have the ability to provide parking at a 90-degree angle, either facing east or west, because we then couldn't provide the backup space that's required for those parking dimensions. And so to be able to provide the parking, the required back-of-house access and functionality of the site, we were limited in the amount of active use liner we could provide along Tamarind Avenue. We did maximize that as much as possible. You can see the stair tower that is just north of the office space. While it doesn't count as active use liner, it does have some architectural elements, as you saw in the elevations of the building, that activate and enhance that streetscape experience that is part of that intent within the neighborhood district. So we are having to ask for a reduction or relief from that requirement. The third variance has to do with the transparency requirement for active use elements along Tamarind Avenue. Again, to be consistent with that architectural style, we had to have certain window dimensions and door dimensions, and to be consistent with that and get the historic preservation approval, we weren't able to provide the required amount of transparency along that frontage, and so we are asking for a 10% reduction in that requirement. Finally, the last variance request is for a reduction of 1 parking space for the project. We are utilizing the shared parking adjustment in section 94-111D, which does allow for projects with 2 uses to utilize the table IV-10 to calculate shared parking requirements. You can see that calculation outlined on the left or the right side of the page. The project does require 4 parking spaces. Again, based on the physical constraints of the site and as efficient as the architect was in making sure that we could deliver on a successful project for the CRA, we were only able to deliver 3 parking spaces, and so that is a request for a reduction of 1 space. We do feel that this variance is requested based on the smaller unit types. It is anticipated that vehicle ownership is reduced with these particular type of units. The project itself is approximately located adjacent to public transportation stops. It's within walkable distance to the Bright Line. And additionally, we are providing 12 bicycle parking spaces on the project, 8 of them within that covered parking area, 4, as I mentioned previously, along the frontage along 7th. So we are adding some additional mobility items approximately located that should allow for proper parking and mobility for this project. City staff has reviewed our request and has found that we are in compliance with the review standards for variances. They are recommending approval of our variance requests along with the condition of approval. The applicant has reviewed and is in agreement with that proposed condition. And that concludes our presentation. Again, happy to provide any additional information or answer any questions.
Yeah, thanks. Nice, thorough presentation. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have questions later. Does anybody have any immediate questions based on that presentation, or we'll come back and have discussion later? We're good? Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it. We'll hear from staff.
Again, Claudia Baben, City Urban Designer. I really have the same information. I don't want to really repeat it. So if you have particular questions about any of the variance requests, I can definitely do so. Staff does recommend approval. That we evaluated this request based on the standards for variances, and we are only adding a condition for variance request number 4. And that is just as a precaution in case there are any parking issues that may relate to people parking on the 7th Street, which is a residential street, and becomes an issue, that the applicant will work with city staff to resolve that issue in the future if that happens, right? But
Claudia?
other than that, we are recommending approval.
Will you read that condition into the record?
Sure. Let me make sure I got this. And again, I'm here if you have any other questions. The condition is recommended for approval of variance number 4. If any parking issues arises due to the limited parking available on site, the applicant will work with the traffic engineer and/or the parking and mobility administrator to resolve the issues. But other than that, I'm here for questions.
Okay, thanks, Claudia. All right, from applicant and staff, are there any comments from anyone in the audience today regarding this project? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public discussion. We'll take any questions or comments from board members for staff or the applicant. Anyone? Kim, go ahead. Yep.
Yes. So I fully support this design. I think it's great to activate that part of the neighborhood. You know, starting. Yeah, when I first moved in downtown, people say don't go into the number streets unless you have a gun. But things are changing now, and this project definitely helps to transform the neighborhood, so I fully support. A question on the parking. So how will those be allocated, you know, between the first is the whole project will continue to be owned by the CRA and rented out, and then how will the parking space be allocated between the office users and the homeowners?
I can respond to the question. We have an agreement.
Please let us know who you are.
Oh, sorry, Jade Green, Deputy Director with the CRA. I can let you know that we do have an agreement with the operator, Rose Trolley, that'll be moving forward with purchasing this property after development. As far as parking, I didn't hear the question about parking. What was the question for parking?
How will there's 3 spaces, and there are 6 micro units and then offices, so how will the parking be allocated for the users throughout the day, or?
I think that'll be up to the operator as far as if they're going to dedicate parking to the micro units, unless there's a requirement I do not know about. They can decide on how they're going to split up those parking uses, whether it's for their offices or the micro units above.
So just to add to that, part of the utilization of that shared parking analysis is it's based on time of day use. The intent is that, you know, at the evening, outside of operational hours of the office space, those spaces are there to be utilized for the residences. During the day of office hours, the spaces are intended for the use of the office space, and so there's no assigned parking.
May I follow up? A quick question on the parking. So how close is this building to the tri-rail? Like, hopefully a lot of people will use the tri-rail to get there, but how close is it? You know, offhand? Roughly, like maybe 7 blocks?
Yeah, 7 blocks.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for staff or the applicant? No? Sam? All right. I had a few architectural questions. Either you can answer, but you could just run through. While you have that image up, that's a good one there to start with. Can you just tell me about the corner? What's going on the second floor with that white blank space relative to the building signage? Actually, let me just back up and say, was there any architectural commentary from the historic presentation? I know it was approved. Yeah.
Renee Johnley from Song & Associates. That corner would be just a statement piece as how the Rose Trolleys would like to use that space, but it could represent an area for future signage that would have to be approved separately.
Okay. It just seems a little harsh right now. Maybe, I don't know if the sign, if it's not going to be a window or 2 windows in the middle, which might be better for that unit for natural daylight and be a more neighborly gesture to the street corner versus the blank white wall. Either consider that, or maybe the signage drops down as the focal point. It just seems a little bit odd that the signage is crammed in between the parapet and that white blank space. And then secondly, I guess this is a little bit of a landscape question too. On this image, is that cheek wall on the west side of the building, is that for a ramp?
Yes.
It is. Is there any way to put any low planting adjacent to it between the sidewalk and the wall? It's a little harsh.
It's right up against the sidewalk, so there is no space for landscaping?
There is only 5 feet clear sidewalk outside of that wall. We are really tight. Based on the improvements that are being proposed along Tamarind Avenue, we were really restricted on the amount of space.
Yeah. Is it the same on the south side where the building meets the sidewalk? Is there any room for a strip of green there?
Not adjacent to the building. What we're doing is utilizing, there is an existing planting area with trees, as you can see here. This is existing right here. We are enhancing the understory aspect of that, and we don't have enough space between the building and the existing edge of that landscape area to add additional landscape adjacent to the building.
I don't know if there's any way to work that out. Those are just those spaces in the public realm adjacent to the sidewalks that just end up being not so nice, a little harsh. I don't know if there's any way you could look at it with staff and is that cheek wall on the ramp, is that a code requirement, or could you have a railing there and reduce and eliminate the cheek wall and then have a strip of planting?
We can check with the building department
Just
to
explore
see
to see if there's ways. Yeah, I just think
yeah,
that'd be a
instead of
nicer
being
project
that,
if you
you know,
softened it against the sidewalk.
and
Okay.
just being a railing. We can
Yeah.
definitely check on that.
Okay. And then,
Yeah, may I say that I would, yeah, definitely support, concur with that request too, and especially from a safety point of view, because Tamarind, especially at night, people drive it very fast. It's like they treat it like a high kind of a state highway almost. So then, yeah, that adding those elements would slow people down, and maybe also looking at some like reflector strip or something for nighttime to slow the traffic down, just to add a little bit more safety for pedestrians.
Is that specific request within the right-of-way?
No, I mean just along the west side. Just generally like do some feature, maybe just to slow down the traffic, especially at night. Either landscape, as the chairman said, or maybe add some reflector light or something, just to the traffic. When they go down Tamarind, people tend to drive pretty fast, especially and if it's so just see what you can add some feature to slow down the traffic at night.
yeah, and back to that image on that corner view there. Which is the approved condition on those, which I guess are the stairwell treatments on the second floor? One shows an arch and maybe some metal aluminum grillwork. The elevation showed something different. Is this one with that arch and those horizontal bars? Those just seem like an anomaly to the rest of the simplicity of the architecture, the arch and the horizontal bars. Was there any commentary at the historic review on those elements?
So what we showed originally was not exactly this, and we were asked to bring back the original design, which is similar to this option. And then we had to bring in additional bars because we don't want people falling out of the space. And so that's how we tied it into, the other horizontal features like the other windows on the building, the railings, and so forth.
All right, they just seem a little bit out of place. And then arches. And there was an image. Let's see. And then I'm guessing at the north side, the rear, you have those 8-inch walls. They seem very flimsy with that entire second floor sitting on the 2 8-inch walls. And I guess that's all dimensional based on your parking dimension requirements.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, there was an image of a breeze block there on the bottom right. Where does that occur on the structure?
It's up at the parapet level. It looks very
Are
tiny.
those small rectangles? Then?
Yes. And
Okay.
that was a request by the historic board.
It was, okay. Is it just recessed into the wall, or is it an actual ventilation element?
It does penetrate the wall, and
It
it
does.
does ventilate, yes.
Okay, so that'll go through the parapet? Okay.
Correct.
All right, that's nice. Those are my comments. Like I said, it's probably impertinent because you've already been through historic and been approved, but, being an architect, I just couldn't help myself. In any event, it's a very nice project. I have no objection to the variance request. It's, I think, all justified with the nature of the dimensional aspects of the property. Yeah, just some food for thought on the other comments, but nice project. Does anybody else have any?
Yeah, I just had a comment about the landscaping. Do you have any uplighting in the landscape at all?
Not currently proposed.
currently?
It's not something that is generally designed at this phase of the project, but not to say that it couldn't be designed in there.
And then the terracotta block, so you're saying that's the only place is the parapet, but you can't really see it from the elevation?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Have you thought about incorporating that anywhere else? Like maybe the recessed area where you have that kind of horizontal and kind of arched area, that screening, maybe, is that under air? That's under air?
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's open, yeah.
See, that'd be an interesting place, maybe, to think about putting a terracotta block and using that as a screening, incorporating that a little more, because that's kind of like the part of the architectural style of the community. I mean, it's kind of tied in different locations.
So you can't see it here, but at the garage areas and at the stair at the other side, on the south side of the building, there is a metal screen. It has a similar design as a terracotta block. And those blocks will be painted that same white color as the screens. So they will match.
Do you have an image of that?
God, that almost
That's the
shows
best, yeah.
Is that those two openings into the garage on the west
it.
Yes.
side?
Yes, yeah. These two openings here have that perforated metal.
So it's white aluminum grillwork that emulates the breeze block. Okay.
Correct.
I mean, that's interesting. I don't know the procedure here. If it's been to historic and it's been approved, does our commentary on the architecture create a problem? Because it's a little backwards.
I think you both have separate jurisdictions.
Okay. So I guess we could have, maybe these could be considerations, and if first they wanted to take it, they have to go back to historic and make a modification through staff, like a staff. Could it be an administrative approval?
Any considerations that you would like us to bring to historic staff
To staff,
based
okay.
on what was approved and the conditions that they post on this? We can definitely do so, but historic does trump.
I got you.
our code.
I got you.
Yeah.
These would all just be recommendations, whether take it or leave it, right? I think I agree with Brian that the breeze block concept in those openings of the open stairwells might be a more interesting and appropriate treatment than those horizontal bars, that's all. So, and I'd get rid of the arch, but that's just my opinion.
And Roger, I agree with you on the hard corner in terms of the signage, and that looks like a blank white wall. I think just trying to understand what that would look like, once new signage comes in or moving Rose Trolley down a bit.
Yeah, I think whether it was one or two individual windows and you'd have a big space like at the railing component from the belt course to the sill course for signage, or above on the parapet, or both, but yeah. Just
So-
consider it. Just seems like it'd be a better neighborly gesture to the street corner.
So I'm actually negotiating the Rose Trolley contract, and one reason it may be blank is because I guess they're doing all their own branding, and maybe they haven't come up with a design for that yet, but that's what's supposed to go there. I don't know, but just want to make you aware of that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were trying to brand maybe the micro units.
Yeah.
That's why it was blank.
So I don't know. So maybe it's just that they haven't given us the brand. I know they haven't given us the branding yet because I was on the call. So maybe that has something to do with it, but I don't know.
Well, maybe once that's resolved, you guys could revisit the design of that wall. Anyways, all right. So there you have it. That's our thoughts. I think the rest of it looks excellent. It'd be a nice infill for that whole intersection there. So appreciate
have
your efforts.
One other question
Yeah,
about
go
the east side of the building, that facade. Can you pull that up for a second? So you have the screening where the parking is a little bit, and then you have all these kind of windows into the micro units.
That's a hallway.
That's the hall. Okay, that's the circulation. Okay.
Except for the one on the very right, that is into a unit.
Okay.
And the future build out of that lot next door is the same as this, massing, right? So it could be 5-foot setback and openings, correct? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Unless there's any more discussions, anyone make a motion for this one? Veronica?
I'll make the motion to move.
I second.
Move to approve. Discussions, anyone want to add consideration for the architectural recommendations we discussed?
So we're going to move for approval of all 4 variances?
Yep.
Okay, and so probably we should vote on them separately, I would say.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and 4, just because they are separate with separate, conditions, so.
Sure. There we go. All right, Veronica, now you got to do them all.
What? Okay, that's, as long as she's, it's fine. You can do it that way. You can do it that way.
So the motion, you want to restate the motion, Veronica, please?
Perfect. I move that sorry, can you hear me? I move that the Downtown Action Committee approve the variance request included in DAC case number 24-04 as follows. Variance 1, a variance request from section 94-113, subsection D2, regarding the installation of street trees at a maximum of 30 feet on center along North Tamarind Avenue, a reduction of 3 trees from the 5 required. Variance 2, a variance request from section 94-128, table 4-36, regarding the minimum 65% of active use on the ground floor along North Tamarind Avenue, a reduction of 8% of active use. Variance 3, a variance request from section 94-128, table 4, section 36, regarding the minimum 50% transparency for active uses on the ground floor along North Tamarind Avenue, a reduction of 10% transparency. Variance 4, a variance request from section 91-111, table 4-9, regarding the required parking, a reduction of 1 required parking space.
No, that's everybody.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. All right, where are we? Okay. Staff, there we go.
Need my reading glasses?
Staff recommend the following condition for the approval of variance number 4. If any parking issues arise due to limited parking available on site, the applicant will work with the traffic engineer and/or the parking and mobility administrator to resolve the issues. The variance's approval is made conditional upon the restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards listed in the Planning Division staff report dated November 7, 2025, that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the zoning code and consistent with the downtown master plan and comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach. The motion is based upon the testimony presented along with the application submitted, which constitute competent, substantial evidence that the standards in section 94-38, section D6, subsection D6 have been met.
Veronica, as the motion maker, would you consider adding just a statement stating that the applicant will consider some of the architectural and landscape recommendations discussed today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I move that the variance approval, that the applicant will take under consideration the architect considerations that the board has brought up today.
Fabulous. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right, motion carries. Thanks. Good luck with that project, guys. Okay, item number 2, TDR case 25-01, request by Lauren Thomas at Touchstone Web Realty on behalf of the City of West Palm Beach CRA, 400 Hibiscus Acquisitions. Go ahead. Hey, Lauren.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lauren Thomas with Touchstone Web Realty. I am here on behalf of 400 Hibiscus LLC, the CRA, and 5th Street Church of God in the transfer of 62,528 square feet of TDRs, which will be going to 400 Hibiscus Street on the corner of Dixie and Hibiscus. These TDRs are coming from 3 separate sending sites, the first one being 627 5th Street, where they've got 37,894 square feet of TDRs. The second is coming from 719 North Sapodella Avenue. They have 12,569 square feet of TDRs. And then the third coming from the CRA TDR Bank with 12,065 square feet of TDRs. And the total 62,528 square feet. That's it.
Lauren, very quickly, could you just show the receiving site?
Yes.
Is there an intended component or a proposed design for that yet? Or have we seen that? I don't know. No. Okay. This is for a future.
Getting ready for it.
Getting ready. Okay, perfect. Okay. That's great. Thank you very much, Lauren. Any comments from staff? Chris?
I will be very brief.
Yes.
Chris Kimmerly, Senior Urban Designer. As you heard the request, it is the transfer from these three sites. The 627 5th Street sending site, you might be familiar with, as DAC did approve a transfer from this property once before under TDR case 2209. This was when it was transferred to the Fern Street project when it was originally a 25-story building. The plans have since changed. They went down to the 8-story mid-rise, and thus that transfer was canceled and not recorded. So we are now retransferring those TDRs. 719 North Sapodilla has just finished its renovations. The restaurant should be opening soon, and it's a little market as well, so definitely check that out. And then the CRA TDR Bank did receive TDRs from TDR case 2401, and they are just transferring that now from the bank to this property. DAC recommends approval of this TDR transfer as it does comply with all standards of section 94-132.
Oops, sorry. Assuming that everything has been met, it's typical procedures, nothing out of the ordinary on this case?
Yep, and they're just banking it on the site, and as mentioned, we don't quite have a site plan or anything yet for that 400 Hibiscus property, so that when it does come in, we'll likely come across this board.
Great, thank you. Okay, any comments from anyone in the audience on this case? Seeing none, we'll close public discussion. Any questions from the board members for the staff or applicant? All right, seeing none, motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. I move that the Downtown Action Committee approve the transfer of development rights DAC case number TDR 25-01 listed in the staff report. That's okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were reading from the screen. Yeah, pull it up. Sorry. Oops.
Now you're granting a variance. There we go.
I move that the Downtown Action Committee approve the transfer of development rights DAC case number TDR 2501 as listed in the staff report dated November 12th, 2025 as follows. The transfer of 62,528 square feet from the sending sites of 719 North Sapodilla Avenue, 627 5th Street, and the CRA Bank to the receiving site of 400 Hibiscus Street pursuant to the requirements of section 94-132.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Another TDR down there. Okay, perfect. Item 3, DAC case 25-05, request by Javier of Schutz & Bowen on behalf of 1100 Banyan LLC for rezoning of the existing Gateway Center.
Mr. Chair, for the record, I just wanted to recognize I come back. I don't know if that was announced. I am back. Thank
It's
you.
noted. We have Mr. Mielich back on.
Thank you.
Good morning. Apologize for that exiting the screen there. Didn't realize you were reading off the screen. For the record, Roger Ramdeen with the Office of Schutz & Bowen here on behalf of the applicant. Before you today is a rezoning for a parcel of land located at the corner of Australian and Banyan. It's at the southeast corner there. It's a 4.73 acre site. What we're proposing to do is actually bring the parcel up to code. You may know that CPDs are now obsolete within the DMP, the downtown. So we're bringing the parcel up to code and rezoning it to a consistent zoning district. Specifically, the site is zoned CPD currently, which is a commercial plan development. And we are looking to rezone it to the CLD 25, which is consistent with the adjacent properties. It's the Clear Lake District 25. It's also consistent with the comp plan. For rezonings, we do have to comply with the standards as stated under Section 9432A. We believe we comply with all the standards. Staff concurs. And with that, we do ask that you recommend approval. Staff is asking us to work with them with a condition of approval as it relates to some traffic counts required prior to scheduling for City Commission. With that, do respectfully ask for your recommendation of approval on this rezoning.
Okay, great, thanks. We'll hear from staff on this one.
Again, for the record, Claudia Baben, City Urban Designer. As the applicant mentioned, this is a request for a rezoning for the Gateway Center, as we normally know it. It is a planned development, and it is also in a site that is part of the Clear Lake District. So this planned development was approved prior to the DMP regulations, prior 1994. We have some planned developments throughout the downtown, and they have been established per ordinances, again, prior to the DMP regulations. What we have on site is basically 80,000 square feet of building, which is a television broadcast studio. I'm sure many of you are familiar with what is there. We have satellite dishes and a helipad on site. And the city has left really the property owner to really keep the planned development or abandon the planned development. That is their choice. We know that this area is already included in the downtown master plan and already was evaluated what kind of regulations were supposed to be for this particular site. Even in the comprehensive plan in policy 314, it is called out as if a planned development is abandoned, it will basically need to comply with the DMP regulations, which is what is happening, what will happen right now with your approval. Now, a rezoning is typically accompanied by a site plan or an actual proposed development. At this time, the applicant is not proposing anything yet. So what the departments are reviewing is basically the maximum development capacity that can happen on this site from previous, right? So before we have this 80,000 square foot of building, but with the new Clear Lake District, which is the highest FAR of 7, it might be 1 million of square foot of development, right? So the different departments are reviewing on what that can happen or what impacts that can happen for the infrastructure that we have on the actual area, which is one of the conditions that they're still working on. Is really just to prior to any city commission hearing associated with the proposed rezoning, the applicant is to provide a trip generation analysis for the following 2 scenarios, one being the maximum permitted of the existing plan development, and the other one is the maximum permitted for the future zoning, which will be the Clear Lake District 25. And of course, any future development that comes to this site, it will go through the process as any other site plan development. It will most likely will come to you for approval, and we'll have to comply with anything, all the zoning regulations and the DMP regulations. So we have reviewed it against the standards that the applicant already mentioned, and we do recommend approval with the same condition that I already stated. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia. I do have one quick question, and you just mentioned, and I didn't think about this. So this is a rezoning request, but did you say that if they were to abandon the PUD, it would automatically revert to the current zoning requirements for the DMP?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't they just abandon the PUD versus requesting a rezoning?
That's a good question.
This is the
Maybe
same
the
process, or
applicant will like to answer
legally,
that.
technically, wouldn't you just do that instead of?
Yeah. Go ahead, Roger. It's the same process.
The rezoning is the process required to abandon
It's the same
WPB.
thing.
Yeah, so.
That's right, okay. Okay, that answers my,
Right now, okay.
They are abandoned.
and so that process is already established in the ordinance that, okay, I got it, thank you.
Just to add, there is no abandonment of a zoning classification process outlined in the city's application, so the only process would be the rezoning.
Yeah, but it is already.
And by default, it would
I
abandon.
got you, but that is the zoning on that site now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. And we might have more questions after. Anyone have any immediate questions for staff, or we can come back? So we'll come back, let's do questions. Any comments from anyone in the audience on this case? Seeing no public comment, we'll close public discussion and take further questions from the board for staff or the applicant. Sam? No? No? Okay. All right.
May I have a
Oh,
comment?
Kim? Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question on whether there was any calculation on the maximum capacity under the old or existing zoning versus the new zoning. Like let's say, taking into account the FAR, setback, et cetera, what would the maximum square feet be under the old zoning versus the new?
The only requirement, as I understand it, is just to demonstrate what's existing as far as traffic counts, to like the most intense use under the existing zoning code, under the existing zoning district versus the most intensity under the proposed zoning. As far as the calculation for total FAR, that may not be required at this point, but it would be required as part of a site plan. Does that answer your question?
Not really, because the FAR under the site plan will be under the new zoning, so so that will be.
So I guess your question is, what's the maximum build out under the current zoning district as it
Versus
compares
the
to the
new,
proposed? I don't believe that is a requirement as part of the rezone, but I can maybe staff knows the answer to that one.
So if it had a 7 FAR, the square footage will be above 1 million square foot. And they did provide levels of service to staff to basically, like he mentioned, to provide that information of what is the capacity of the infrastructure with the most intense use and square footage on site. So as an example, they say, we're gonna build the maximum as an office, which is the most intense use in residential buildings for water. And they provided what is the capacity on site and what is the capacity needed. And city staff has reviewed that.
Yeah, but that talks about the water and sewer capacity. I'm just curious about the square footage, the total that could,
It is related to that, right? Because
it is related,
right.
yeah. It's related.
So is the square footage with the amendment going to go up or down?
Well, it will be 7 because it will be part of the Clearware district. The 5 will be
It's going
7.
to go up, okay.
Maybe,
I mean,
Kim, maybe what you're asking is what was the maximum prior to the
Yes.
the zoning change?
But I don't think anybody has that answer.
It's kind of a moot
As a
point.
planned development, it has been approved for 80,000 square feet. If they wanted to change that, they will have to come to the city and explain why they're changing that, and we'll go to an approval of whatever intensity they want as a planned development.
I can add to it too. So as part of a plan development, when you approve a plan, when the city approves a plan development, they establish rules and regulations that's applicable to that specific plan development. So if that plan development is capped at 80,000 square feet, that's the most that you can build regardless. There is no district applicable regulations that fluctuates with that square footage. It's based on the plan development itself. That's what's established as part of that approval. When you get the rezoning, then you have a little bit of flexibility there where you can go up, down, however you want to build out the site.
I think
But with
maybe-
the plan
maybe
development, you are limited.
Maybe the question was, if it wasn't a PUD, what would the maximum have been
Oh.
at the time prior to the rezoning?
I don't know what it was.
And
I
again,
don't-
it's a moot point because it's already
Yeah.
been rezoned.
I don't know what it is, what it was prior to.
I was going to ask you that, but I don't really think it's pertinent.
Okay, no, that's fine.
A plan development can come in with a major amendment and ask for anything.
Right, I know, but I
Right?
guess if it wasn't a PUD, what would have been the maximum on that site prior to the Clear Lake 25?
prior to it? Oh, that's a
Again,
good
I don't know
question.
if it's
That's fine.
even-
Yeah.
I-
Question which
Prior
we don't know the answer to,
1980.
so-
Yeah.
Generally, a smaller building than what's going to be there in the
lots more.
future, I think.
So Claudia, is this zoning district consistent with the revised, or the study on revising the DMP?
Yes, it will be consistent, yes.
Okay. Other than that, I don't know what else there is to do.
Mr. Chair, I have a recommendation for approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval, a second?
Second?
Second, okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, motion carries.
Just,
have
I
to read
did
it?
put a condition on that approval.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure you incorporate that. Did you already?
Is the condition,
I guess let's,
Do
can
you
the
want-
motion maker read, we have to cancel that or redo it? How do we do that? What's the?
What, do you have a motion on the table and has it been voted on? Please refresh my
No.
memory.
The motion is second, so for discussion.
Amend the motion to include the condition and then vote on it.
okay, if we can get that screen back on that has that language and the condition, I could
It
read it.
keeps going out, so let her hand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
It
I'm gonna
keeps
go- I'm
going
gonna go
back
with
and
the fire.
forth, so.
The condition,
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Oh. Well, I offered you my reading glasses.
All right, we're going to make this work. Here we go. I move that the Downtown Action Committee approve with a condition the rezoning for DAC case number 25-05 as listed in the staff report dated November 7th, 2025. Staff recommends the following condition. Prior to any city commission hearing associated with the proposed rezoning, the applicant is to provide a trip generation analysis for the following two scenarios. A, maximum permitted for the existing zoning. B, maximum permitted for the proposed zoning. The motion is based upon a determination that the testimony presented at this hearing along with the application submitted constitute a preponderance of competent substantial evidence. The board hereby makes findings of fact that the rezoning requested satisfies all the criteria of the City of West Palm Beach zoning and land development regulations, Article 2, Section 94-32.
okay, great. So we have a revised motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, now the motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's see. No code revision cases, no admin approvals. Any unfinished business or new business anyone would like to discuss?
Can I just, before you guys adjourn, and before totally not related at all, but I want to let you know there are two holiday historic parties in Northwood. There's the Northwood Hills Historic Tour, House Tour, if anybody wants to go. 2 days after Thanksgiving, November 29th, and then there's the Northwood Hill, House Tour, which is on the other side of Broadway, which is a little bit later in the season. So if anybody wants to go, it's out there on the internet. It should be a lot of fun. Pretty amazing houses, so please, you can drop me a note if you want more information on any of them in my unofficial capacity as a resident of Northwood Hills.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of change going on over there.
There is, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Any unfinished business or any discussion items?
I just had a quick question, just out of curiosity. The Burger King site at Palm Beach Lakes and anything going on? I drive by it every day and just wondered.
We have not received any site plans for that or any
Okay.
meetings for that project. Your partner there might know more than us.
All right, thank you. Just curious.
Looks like he's buttoned up.
I have one quick comment on the parking. Some recently at one of the urban mobility transit discussion out here on Flagler Room, I suggested to the transit lady, I forget her name off the moment, but to maybe look into the possibility of using public parking or parking that belongs to offices, like say around down here, the Social Security admin office, the post office, and so many of those parking available at night after office hours. So maybe if there's a way to collaborate with them. I know it's a long road. The public offices, they have their own rules and regulation, et cetera, and this might be maybe outside of your purview, or you have more than enough work to do right now, but maybe keep that in the back of your mind, because downtown we're building more and more, and we are a leader in workforce housing and other housing incentives that create more units available for everyone. So if you could maybe keep that in the back of your mind to find a way to utilize those public parking or administrative parkings for nighttime, that would be super. That would add so much more spaces to the inventory, and a lot of people from outside downtown who don't live here do come here at night and weekends, so that would be a big help.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right.
I do want to just bring to your attention, we have Suzanne here, who is the Assistant Director of Engineering Services, and she is here because in the last meeting you were asking about closures during construction and the impacts on that.
Okay.
So if you want to know a little more about what is asked for those contractors or what kind of issues they face, she's here to answer questions.
Construction site manager. Oh, great. Excellent.
Hi, it's nice meeting you all. I'm Suzanne Berglund, the Assistant Director of Engineering here for the city. So our engineering department oversees a lot of the work that goes on within the right-of-way for the city of West Palm Beach. Road closures is one of those items that we do oversee. Just a little bit of information about right-of-way permits. And our newest permit is the construction staging and management plan that we recently adopted in the city, and we recently developed a permitting process for that. So it's two separate permits. I'll speak briefly about the construction management plan permit. Around last summer, we were able to change the code. We got a lot of complaints from a lot of the residential neighborhoods and communities of contractors parking all over the neighborhoods, some of these for the single-family residential redevelopment, north end, south end of the city, that were really clogging up the roads. And one of the requests that we had was to create a permit process to better help manage that situation. It is a challenge. That particular permit, we asked for three things. We asked for where are all the contractors going to park? And this includes any of the projects that come downtown. Do you have enough space in parking garages for them to park? We require them to get permission if they're proposing to put 100 people in a city parking garage. We need to get permission from our parking administration or whoever the owner of that garage is that there is enough space to meet that capacity. We don't allow contractors parking all over the neighborhood area anymore, and we try to monitor that the best we can. The second piece we ask for is how they're going to bring materials to and from the site from I-95. What roads are they going down? Are they using main roads, DOT roads, city roads? Are they going to use an area that's already closed by a road closure? So we're asking for that information. And then the third piece is how are they going to stage their equipment, their materials on site during the construction activities? And that really, really is a challenge, especially for a lot of the buildings that are going on downtown. I know they've been using the right-of-way, they've been using the sidewalks, they've been using the parking lanes sometimes. We just finished up 512. They had a continuous closure on Quadro Plaza Drive for about a year and a half, and that's where they were able to bring in their construction staging vehicles that dropped off the materials and equipment and concrete trucks that came in every day. I know there is a lot of concern with what's going on that building on Datura right now. The sidewalk's been closed for a year. One of the eastbound Datura has been closed for a year. And the city currently does not have anything in our code disallowing that. What we have done over the years is increased our permit fees for that. They are charged a significant amount of money. We charge for the first 30 days, it is 60 cents per linear foot per lane per day for the closure. After 60 days, it's 75 cents per linear foot per lane per day. I don't know of another municipality that's charging that high of a fee. I'm going to try to deter that, but that does not deter a lot of the people who are requesting that closure. Our right-of-way permit fees brought in about $2 million last year. That money doesn't go into general fund. That money goes directly into the gas tax fund, which pays for milling, resurfacing of roads throughout the city, throughout the downtown, and sidewalks. So it does go into a fund that directly benefits the community with the roadway repaving. And roadway repaving is very expensive. I know we're out there repaving the alleyway, the 500 block alleyway between Clematis and Banyan today. That's about $150,000 is what it costs to repave just that small block of alleyway. But I did meet with Anna Maria and our building official, Robert Brown, and we are looking at potentially some code changes to be introduced to City Commission next year. I don't have a good knowledge base of what it takes for these builders to construct their building on site. So whatever they're requesting as far as a closure of the sidewalk or a closure of the lane, as long as they provide us with a suitable detour route and they're willing to pay those fees, we don't have a mechanism right now to deny them that. But we are looking at potential code changes to say after a certain amount of time, you're going to need to open up the right-of-way. The other challenge is when you build right to the edge of the sidewalk, and they're building these 4-story, 5-story, sometimes taller buildings, it makes it a really big challenge for them safety-wise to do that. And it costs them a lot of additional money too. So those are just some of the items of how currently the process works. And I'd like to take questions, comments, concerns from you guys. I know it is a big concern as we're developing and building. It's unprecedented development here that we have in the city of West Palm Beach. It's awesome. It's amazing that all these companies are coming to us, coming to the city and doing this. And it is definitely a challenge from our end.
Okay, great. Thanks for the explanation. That's very helpful. Does anyone have any questions for Suzanne?
Yeah, I can go with a few. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the input. I think I'd just boil it down to it and be real frank. Other real cities do this. You know, New York City was mentioned by the other board member, Atlanta, Los Angeles, you know. And it kind of feels like it's very frustrating. And I don't live downtown. I know a lot of people that do. But I drive through it all the time. And to drive through a street right by Johann Yo's, by the hospital they're building, the fence is basically out in the middle of the road. There are people walking on that side of the road. There's cars flying by. It's just a real head scratcher why that is, and the safety concern that somebody's going to get hurt or killed when that doesn't have to be the case at all. Back when Rick Green was here, I think he showed us charts that say permit revenue is going like this, unprecedented, record-setting, through the roof. If there's all this money and all this cash, you ought to be able to provide a public sidewalk to somebody, just like New York City, just like these other places. And it sounds like it comes down to money and cost. And so my thought is that if the only mechanism the city has to try to deter this behavior or this construction technique, means, and methods is cost, you need to raise the cost from 60 cents to $60, or to make it cheaper for them to build everything on site, provide safety to the public, and build their giant building they're making tons of money on. So again, it shouldn't be like that. I know bureaucracy and all the complexities of the rules are like it is, but when you boil it down, you ought to walk down the street next to a building that's being constructed be protected, not get killed, not have to walk in the road, etc. So thank you for the opportunity to relay those comments.
Thank you so much. Can I just do a quick response?
Oh, please.
I agree. I agree. And one of the items that we're looking at as far as a code change for next year, and I'm not sure how this is going to work, is limiting the amount of time that they can take the right-of-way. We've got to, we're trying to limit that, but understanding when it's feasible. Once they have the first floor done, once they have the first two floors done, providing some other means of access over top of it to allow pedestrians to safely travel underneath is what we're thinking about doing for that. So, and you know, down in that area as well, that one has been going on for such a long time, but all of the other closures that are on Dixie right now, you know, we have the Ike kiosks that are going in, which they have lane closures on Dixie. We had Ike kiosks on Clematis Street. We had full road closures for those. If you're familiar with those touchscreen kiosks that they're recently putting in, we have, along with these big buildings comes with a lot of upgrades to our underground infrastructure, which is awesome. You know, that we could be able to do that or have the developers pay for some of that. It does also include a lot of additional power that's going to be needed. So these big FP&L vaults and duct banks are going in as well. It's a big challenge as we're growing, but I definitely, again, next year, we're looking at proposing something to only allow them to take that for a short period of time. The other challenge that we get from developers when they're building these buildings is, where do they bring their materials? Where do they bring their trucks that need to come on a daily basis for the materials and equipment? And that is why Related, I believe, has hibiscus or gardenia, that long-term gardenia closure. They've requested that closure, you know, for years, and that was one that got approved by City Commission because it was such a long-term closure. And I'm surprised I haven't heard more issues with that, but they have an entire road that's closed dedicated for their operations. And they've paid over $1 million for that closure as well. So it's balancing that.
Yeah, and just to add on, follow up on the comments, you know, typically what we'd seen, you would get a permit, a temporary, for deliveries, for operations, for a limited amount of time. But you know, the minute you give a developer the opportunity to take over a sidewalk, half a street, they're going to take as much as they can get for as long as they can get it. So I think the city just needs to maintain their right to have jurisdiction over the rights of way and not give it up, unless it is for, you know, obviously they're going to make payments, and they'll make the payments because that sounds like the amounts right now are very negligible compared to the cost of the construction. So,
I would just like to add one more thing. I think, and I appreciate the effort, but I think if the endeavor is to somehow limit the time, I can just see that time getting extended and extended because, oh, there's a public utility infrastructure. Oh, the FDOT is doing this. The city's doing that. Things that are outside of the developer's control, and then he'll be like, well, I can't control that. Let's extend it and extend it and extend it. If you just rather go to the root problem where it's like, don't allow it in the first place. Do what New York City does. Do what Los Angeles does. Require everybody to build it on site. Put a scaffolding structure that everybody can walk and the city can function while the building is going up. It seems like that ought to be maybe the priority, and I know that's maybe a top-down approach and a political decision, but from the residents' perspective, from the people that live downtown, from the people that drive through that area, we're West Palm Beach, this is our experience, and yes, growing pains are hard, I know. I'm not saying things are perfect, but it can be so much better. It's just a matter of the will and the decision and the direction to do so.
Well, the good news is they finally opened up some of the Northwood. I drive through there every morning. And that,
well.
Oh, no, don't even tell me. They opened up one of the streets that had been closed down for over a year. It's going to be closed back down?
26.
So if is that part of, I'd be happy to share a little bit of information about that as well. Yes, Broadway in a small section was opened, but into next year, Broadway North is going to have to be closed. They have utility work. And the utility piece of it, it's a sewer. It's a main sewer pipe that goes through there that they're installing. And the underground utility work, we don't have a choice. We've got to close the road for that. And that Broadway was underground utility work, and it took that long for them to do that, unfortunately. But yes, they will be going north, but the north is DOT, so.
Yeah, that's the other thing I say to the folks who live in my neighborhood, because we're greatly affected by it, and I'm like, a lot of this is DOT.
It's DOT.
So we have
Right.
limited control.
The DOT has recently, this year was the first year that I saw DOT take a hard no approach on utilizing the right-of-way for any closures. This is the first year. Previously, the DOT allowed long-term closures without any fees, including the one Flagler closure, including sidewalk closures. The sidewalk is still closed in Northwood for the spruce up in that area, and that's all DOT right-of-way. So previously, developers would choose to utilize DOT right-of-way because they wouldn't be charged for the road closure. But more recently, the 10 site is one of them where the DOT is absolutely putting a hard foot down and saying no more of these closures for a residential development. But what I've noticed is the one gentleman who works in West Palm South is saying no, but the one gentleman who still works north of West Palm at the DOT is still saying yes. So there are changes coming from that side. So I'm just trying to give you all the information that I have regarding those closures. But no, I do appreciate talking with you guys today and knowing how important it is for this team, and hearing it from you makes it definitely more of a priority for me and for us to really try to do something about this. So,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right. No, thanks, Suzanne. Appreciate your
Thank you.
time. Thanks.
And I'm happy, if you have any other questions, please just let them know, and I'm happy to come back at any time about the engineering side, anything in the right-of-way at future meetings. So.
All right, thanks for your time. Okay, anything else, anyone? Okay, great. We'll adjourn today's meeting, 10:16. Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good